Hi, everyone, and welcome to the kickoff of our brand new expert speaker series. I'm so excited to be joined by Tim Snell. He is a coach and guide who helps people reconnect to their own intuition so that they can create their greatest work in the world. He is a former corporate executive who transitioned his career so that he could focus on helping people create more impact in the world after many years of traveling the world on his own journey of self-discovery and self-healing. And when he works with clients, Tim combines a range of techniques, including diamond light healing, shamanism and natural wisdom, SOMA Breath, yoga, and life coaching. And I believe Tim is going to be sharing with us today a little bit about how to heal our emotions. So, Tim, welcome. And I'm so excited to have you here. And I'm going to turn it over to you.
Jen, thank you so much. Thank you for inviting me. It's been really great to be in the Soma Breath community and to meet you. I think we met each other around about the same time that we were certifying. So
Yeah.
we saw each other on his call. So it's really great to be here to share some new wisdom and new knowledge with you and your community.
Well, thank you for joining. I'm excited to have you here and learn about everything that you're going to be teaching us today.
Okay, well, let's dive in, shall we?
Yeah.
So today, I'm just going to minimize this little window over here for the recording. And today we're going to be talking about how to heal your emotional body using your breath. And I'm taking this from a couple of different perspectives because I'm aware that in your community, people will be working with you to use Soma Breath. And as a Soma Breath instructor as well, I use elements of this with my community, but it's also something that I believe that people can do anytime. What I'm really going to share today is not something specifically for using the Soma Breath journey, but that's where I find it's really powerful. So I hope that as your members are working with Soma Breath, they also think about using this as one of the techniques for self healing. So a little bit about me. You've given me a really great introduction, and I do all of these. Have done all these really interesting things around. I was a corporate executive, so that's me there in my corporate gear, and that's one of the, I guess, one of the masks that we all have. This is a past mask. And here's another one, that I carry around with me, which is I do have the poncho. It's a real thing, and I do wear it for ceremony. So when I do shamanistic work, or if I'm doing ceremony work in real life, then I will put on my poncho and I really take this seriously because it's become really big part of who I am and what I do. It says that I'm a mesa carrier in the Andean tradition. And what that means is that I have a medicine bundle that I use in energy healing, but it's also something that I pray to when I do my meditations, when I do my ceremonies. And so some of this healing work is a combination of what I've learned in Diamond Light and what I've learned in the field of natural wisdom. And then the last one is like where I'm at right now, which is the transition to, I was a corporate exec who looked pretty happy in my suit, but actually I wasn't, as jazzed as I am now. And I'm really in this place where I love my life. And, this is where I am today, and working with Soma Breath and using all of these different things. So today's workshop is really about healing your emotions and understanding how to use one of the techniques that I teach in Diamond Light to really get in touch with your emotional body. So I think a lot of us go through life wanting to have a deeper connection to how we feel. And in fact, a client said to me yesterday, in a coaching client said to me, do you know what? I came to you thinking that I wanted to have all these things, these material possessions, and that you were going to help me change my life so I could get there. And what it's turned out to be is that what I'd really love is to be fully embodied in my feelings so that my life feels rich from a place of feeling. And I thought that's such a really powerful transition for somebody to make from wanting something that's out there to wanting something that's completely in here. And so one of the techniques that I teach helps people to get more connected. And I see the change over time when people do this on a regular basis. And to get to understand this a little bit better, I think it's important that people understand a little bit more about their emotions. And our tendency to have feelings and to, see our emotions as, they could be the enemy, or they could be something that we don't enjoy. They could be uncomfortable. And so we have this tendency to have feelings and emotions and not really know what to do with them sometimes. And so we push them away. And what we know, through the shamanism and through the energy healing work that I do, and certainly through my own journey of self healing, is that people place their emotions or their heavy emotions that they don't want to work with in places in their body, and that can lead to physical illnesses. So when I look at emotions, I look at them as being, the bridge between the human mind and the intelligence of the soul, because I look at emotions as being these divine messengers. These are feelings that are telling us, oh, something's going on. It's our own internal way of expressing that something needs attention. And so we can find that some of our emotions can catalyze us into this really powerful action and really make us, I really want to get more of this, or I really want to take some action on that because I know that that's going to make me feel a certain way, or I know how that feels. And then other emotions, sometimes the more heavy emotions or some of the traumas that we may have experienced, can leave us feeling completely contaminated or condemned. And when we're able to understand and really connect to our emotions, then we're able to start this process of healing ourselves and doing it from the inside out rather than doing it from the outside in. So this is about us reconnecting to ourselves rather than looking at this as, I'm going to go to somebody and I'm going to get them to take this pain away. Because in reality, we cannot ask somebody to take our pain away. Somebody else cannot take away the pain that we've created for ourselves. And so when we're able to really connect deeply to our emotions, we're then able to connect to our powerful intuitive feelings. And so, Jen, since you're the person who is on the call, I just wanted to check in with you and see, how does this resonate with you when you think about your own emotions?
I mean, it resonates deeply. I think so often, I know, at least for me, growing up, I feel like just in the Western world, we're taught to suppress our emotions and to bury them and not feel them if they don't feel good.
Yeah,
And rather than allowing ourselves to lean into them and feel them so they can actually be processed and be healed. So I personally spent a lot of work lately, like tuning into my emotions and feeling the uncomfortable stuff and seeing them as messengers from the
yeah,
soul, and in an effort to reconnect, like you said, to divine wisdom, to intuition, and ultimately to enable healing in the body and the mind and the spirit.
awesome.
So
So you should be teaching this.
no, you are the expert, but I just think this is so powerful because I feel like not enough people know this or recognize it, or even like I think this gives people permission,
Yeah,
to
great.
to feel what they're feeling.
This is awesome because now I know that, with this new information or whatever comes out of this, I know that you're going to take this forward with your community, which is really awesome. And what you said about reconnecting to your natural intelligence, I look at it as being, there's an acronym that one of my teachers uses called DNA. So you're connecting to your divine natural awareness, which is who you truly are. Because as you say, in the West, we've been told, that feeling that you have or don't have that feeling, it's not good. Can you be quiet, stop doing that, stop crying, don't feel this, don't feel that, feel this, feel that. And there's some shame around having emotions for some people because of the way that they've been conditioned or the things that they've been told. And allowing our emotions to have free expression is really the first part of this transformation. And it took me a long time to really get the message that I could go to healers all around the world. I could go and see shamans, and I did. I went to people. I went to India, Peru, people in North America. I went all over the place, Bali, and I've been to see healers in so many different places, thinking that they had the answer, that they were the ones who could fix me, heal me, however you want to look at it. What they were doing was that they were showing me different elements or different aspects of myself, but in actual fact, the only person who can take away my suffering is me because I create it. And so I'm the architect of all of this. I think that's really important for people to understand. You get to the point of, are you sick and tired of being sick and tired? And are you really done with that part of it? Because until you've got to that point, you're probably not ready to make that big change. And that's the point I feel that people sometimes need to get to before they're really pushed or they force themselves to make an internal change in themselves. And again, I brought back to a client I've worked with who said, who I've been working with, who essentially said to me a couple of weeks ago, I thought that you were going to do all these things for me. And I've just realized, after maybe 3 or 4 months of working together, that in actual fact, I'm the one who has to do this. I'm the one who has to make all of these changes that we've been talking about. And it's a case of yes, you do, because I can't do that for you. And sometimes it takes people a while to get through that process, and that's okay. So the other part of the emotions is that they're magnetic, and we talk about this in SOMA Breath a lot. So we'd have seen this in some of Niraj's work and the discussions that we have about elevating your level of vibrational energy. And in Diamond Light, I teach this as well, is that if you're oscillating at a fairly low vibration, so that when you're in what we call heaviness, you're probably going to attract more heaviness to you, or you're going to notice more heaviness around you. It's almost like misery loves company. And that's why people who are in a certain state tend to find themselves surrounded by other people who are in a similar state. And so the idea is to transform this heaviness into something lighter. And when I work in the Peruvian tradition, we don't have a judgment about something being good or bad. We simply say that it's either heavy or it's light. And so the words that we use for heaviness is hucha, and for light, it's sami. And so often when I'm teaching shamanism or I'm working with natural wisdom, I'm often saying to people that as you're releasing your heavy energy, what you're doing is that you're offering it as a gift to Mother Earth. Because the earth is there to receive the heaviness, because it has the wisdom and the capacity to turn that energy into something lighter by processing it. And this is one of the deepest learnings I had about, the judgment of our emotions, is to really get out of the judgment and to just see them as just a different feeling. This one's heavy, this one makes me feel, and you can feel it. People have the weight of the world on their shoulders, all these metaphors that we use. And then people, they're lit up like sunshine, and so that's the lightness. And so in all these metaphors is the real wisdom, and it's hidden in plain sight in everything that we see. And the other one that I really love is when we say that we spell our world into being. Because if we think about the old archetype of what a spell is, it's an incantation. It's a series of words used with intention. And so spelling, how we spell words, or actually the words that we use are weaving our life in a certain creativity. And so when we speak things outwardly, particularly around heavy emotions, we hear it before those words are expressed, because they're thoughts in our mind. And so by listening to the words that we're using about how we feel, we then get clues into what's going on at a deeper level. So if we're using words around self-judgment, or if we're using words that really give a particular picture. And so people can do this as well. They can notice the words to notice what emotions they may be feeling underneath. And then as they express it outwards, they're actually creating that in their field. And so this is where I think SOMA Breath for me is such a powerful tool for increasing your level of vibration and to really help to release heaviness, because the breath gets deep into this soma. In what we mean by soma is goes right into the cell at the really somatic level of the body. And the oxygenation at that level, I don't know the alchemy here, I don't know the science of this. All I know is that in these deep places, we're somehow giving ourselves permission to release that heaviness in our cells, and that comes out. And for me, during my 21-day journey, I cried, and I thought, oh, what am I crying for? I've done a lot of work. Gee, I've traveled the world. Gosh, why am I crying? And I had a really interesting, judgment about myself around it. And I was like, no, but it's okay. I'm just releasing. What was frustrating was I didn't have this story for why I was crying. And it actually didn't matter. I was just releasing whatever needed to go. And so in that moment of acknowledgement that something was coming up, I was then able to just offer that as a gift and just know that that's being processed. Wherever it's gone, it's being processed. So really getting to that understanding that as we become lighter in ourselves, we attract more lightness around us. And people can't help but be attracted to that. And the other thing that's really important to say here is that all emotions are a reaction to a belief. And so we often hear something, and if it doesn't align with our belief system, we get really into it, we can get into our stuff about it. And so the idea with a lot of emotions is to get under the standing that we're taking. So having understanding for our emotions is really important as a first step. Like, what stand am I taking that is causing me to feel a certain way? And if I can get under that standing, or get under that resistance that I'm taking, then I'm able to somehow bring acknowledgement to that place. So when we have a feeling that comes up that we don't like, it's really helpful to be able to say, wow, what am I really resisting here? What's really triggering me? And it may not be the first thing. It may actually be something a little bit deeper. So if we have the understanding, if we have that understanding that emotions are magnetic, and that they are a reaction to a certain belief, we can then understand that they do become trapped in our body. We can then say that every dysfunction or disease requires an emotional host. So a physical ailment often has some sort of emotional tie to our body somewhere. And I've said there, just a reiterations: heavy, light, positive, negative, they're all equal. So, and we should give equal gratitude for those emotions. But if I look again at my own story around self-healing, I discovered that I was deaf at the age of 4, and I don't know whether I was born that way or whether that was just something that happened. You know, the doctors have told me I had the mumps and an ear infection, but they can't really tell, and nobody really knows. But at age 4, I was told, you've lost your hearing in your left ear. You will never regain this, and for the rest of your life, you'll need to you'll need to make adaptations to your life, walk on the right side, sit at a certain place in the classroom. So I was really programmed from the age of 4 that I had a disability, and that I needed to work a lot harder, and strive and be a certain way, so that I could be equal to everybody else because of this disability that I had. What's really incredible, though, is that there was a lot of there must have been something else going on, because over the years, what I noticed is that I couldn't actually feel the left side of my head. So any person who doesn't have a hearing difficulty might be able to tap their head, and they can hear that on the inside. So Jen, if you were to tap your head, just do a little light tap, you'll be able to hear that, yeah?
Yeah.
So for me, I couldn't hear anything, and I could touch this side and I wouldn't be able to really feel it. And it was very strange. So I could, hear the wind on this side, but I couldn't actually feel any air movement on this side. And then over the last 11 years of wandering around the world and working with different people, I actually have full feeling on this side of the head now. So I can actually touch my head and tap it, and I'm like, oh, wow, there's sound there. And I can sort of play with my ear and put my finger in my ear, and I can feel the air pressure change against my eardrum, which I could never feel before. And I could also hear, just very lightly, my finger kind of moving around. Um, and so I had a hearing test last year, and it showed that I've actually, although I'm still technically deaf, the baseline that I've started from, or had for the last 35 years, is actually improved by 10 to 20% in certain frequencies.
Wow.
And nobody has a medical explanation, because remember, it was never going to change.
Yeah.
But what I know in that period of time is that I've processed so much heaviness and so many different traumas in my life, that I've been able to release and let go of and not be impacted by, and to really acknowledge that as part of my journey of growth, that I've started to also really listen to what's really important to me in my work and in my life. And as I've been coming into this alignment, I've noticed that this feeling has started to return over a period of time. And so this is why I strongly believe that a lot of us carry around, these physical ailments, but there actually could be much deeper emotional things going on. I teach more about that in Diamond Light activations and Diamond Light numerology. And I've just realized, as I'm talking to you, I've had a huge epiphany. My own Diamond Light center for where my challenges are is my third eye, which is right aligned to my
Wow.
ear. And
Wow.
and this is the challenge for me, is actually this center in my own Diamond Light healing. So as I clear more around this now, and suddenly it's funny, I've been doing this for a few years, and it's like I've only just had my own realization about that.
Amazing.
So that's the understanding of what the emotions are and how they work and how they can impact our physicality. But if I look at what we need, how do we process this? Like, what do we do with this? And so the next part of this would be, as I said, to get to the understanding that all emotions are about is acknowledging something that's going on for us and to really get under that resistance. Like, what's going on with me? What's going on there? And to then be able to validate that emotion by acknowledging its presence. Because until we can acknowledge that we're having an emotion, we can't possibly allow it to transform. So it's that whole idea of, rather than pushing it away, pushing it down, storing it in your ear, or whatever I was doing, like, let's acknowledge that there's something else going on here. And then the final step in the process of a 3-step process would be to have acceptance. So to be in complete acceptance and have no judgment for what's happening in our lives. So that's the 3-step process. There's a little bit more to it though. So, Jen, I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit.
Uh-oh.
Uh oh. And if there's anybody listening to this later, is going through this same process, and I want to demonstrate it with you, Jen, if that's okay.
Yeah, let's do it.
So I'd like you to think about something that you've been wanting to work on, or an emotion that you've been, or a feeling that you've been having that you tend to just push away. And you don't
So,
need to talk to me about it, like, you don't need to share it. What
okay.
I'm going to guide you to do is just say, I'd like you to just really go into that place and see
Okay.
if you can really conjure up that feeling and get right in touch with that feeling deep inside of you. And just let me know when you're able to feel where it is.
I'm there.
Okay. Whereabouts in your body is it?
It's like it's like in the chest, solar plexus area.
Okay, brilliant. So I'd like you to breathe into that place and give that feeling or that emotion a shape and a color and tell me what it is.
It's a blue circle.
Great. Okay. So, hello, blue circle. So just go through this process in your mind. Just really acknowledge that feeling, because you're giving it a shape, you're giving it form, you're acknowledging it. And breathe into that place just gently, consciously, with gratitude. Just say, thank you so much for being here. And as that feeling expands, just see if you can ask it, what is it that you need me to know? And let me know if you get an answer.
Okay.
Yeah?
Yeah.
And again, keep breathing into that place, that blue circle around the solar plexus. Just say thank you. And have a dialogue with this feeling and emotion. If it's asked you to do something, acknowledge. Let it know that you're going to do it. You know, being sincere and just breathing into it with that love and that gratitude. And just let me know what happens to that feeling. See if it shifts, changes, moves to somewhere else in your body.
It softens.
Okay. Just keep breathing gently into that place, acknowledging with gratitude that feeling.
feel like it dissolved, like
Okay.
evaporated.
And is there any other feeling of a blockage or another feeling coming up in your body anywhere?
Not at the moment.
Okay. Wow. Okay. So it really can be that simple. I mean, we always think that doing this work can be really difficult. It can be really painful. It can be really tough. And that's not to say that it isn't sometimes, because sometimes it can be. But actually, we look for the complicated solutions because we think they're the ones that are going to help us.
Mm.
Without going into any detail, Jen, do you want to just describe what happened for you?
Yeah, so like I just when I brought the feeling to my mind, and it was something that was really um, apparent yesterday. I was feeling it a lot, and so I brought that back to my mind, and I just felt this huge weight, like in the solar plexus area, kind of difficult to breathe,
Yeah,
and and then the more I leaned into it and acknowledged it and was gentle and grateful, um, and asked what it wanted to share with me, it the message I got was that it just wanted to be heard.
mm,
And and then just it slowly just started to shift, to soften, to dissolve.
yeah,
So it's really neat.
that's amazing. So my feeling just wanted to be heard and acknowledged, and to have its expression.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
wow. Not so hard, hey?
That was not so hard.
So, um, it's not a difficult process, but it's one that can sometimes just take presence, but can also take courage. Because what can sometimes happen for people is, and it certainly was part of my experience when I first started to do some of this work, was I felt that I was going to be overwhelmed by having to go through or having to work through these feelings or traumas or whatever it was that I felt that I needed to work on. And one of my biggest fears was I thought I'm not going to be able to control myself.
Mm,
And what I've learned over time is that your body and your mind is highly intelligent. It'll only ever give you as much as you can manage it in one time. But also that the full expression of an emotion doesn't lead to death, if that makes sense. Like the worst thing that could happen to you is that you sadly might pass away in your life. But if that doesn't happen, that's not the worst thing.
mm.
So sometimes it's just the fear of the feeling or the overwhelm that that feeling might create for you that stops people doing some of this work,
Yeah,
because there is that natural tendency or that natural fear to think, well, I might just end up crying, or I might be overwhelmed. And actually, that's more of an inhibitor than the actual feeling itself. The feeling just wants an expression.
yeah,
Yeah, and that's where anybody who does this work, I'm always really mindful of how courageous anybody is who really dives into their feelings and emotions, because this is the tenderness within us. These are the sometimes the long held secrets of the pain that we dare not speak. But it's actually, as you might have noticed, there wasn't necessarily a story involved, it was just a feeling.
hmm,
And so this can sometimes help people get out of the story that they're spelling and get into the body to have the feeling that wants the expression. And I find that really powerful because people keep telling the same old stories, but they don't have the expression of the feelings and emotions. But when they have the expression of the feelings and emotions, they feel like, oh, I don't need to tell that story anymore
exactly.
because my pain is gone. And I've had that experience with a couple of people when I do one-on-one work like this, where you'll say something that can trigger people, but they know in their hearts that this is true, and so they then have the courage to be able to do this more deeply.
Mm,
So sometimes energy can become trapped in one of our energy centers. So I referred before to my own energy center around the third eye, which is my diamond light. I have a little chart here which sort of expresses where the energy centers are in terms of what we know to be the chakra system. So we have the base, we have the sacral, we have the solar plexus, then into the heart, then up to the throat, over to the third eye, and then we're into the crown, and then into the crown, and then we have the 9 and the 10 and the 1, which are not in the common chakra system.
Mm-hmm.
But Diamond Light works with 10, essentially 10 energy centers. One is below your feet, which is called the Earth Star, and then the 9 and the 10 are above the head, so above the crown chakra, which would be here. And according to your birthday, or so what is your month, by the way?
November.
November, so 11, which is a 2. So the energy center that you may find most blocked for you is actually the base chakra,
Yeah.
which is the fear, and actually that is linked to abuse. And when we talk about abuse, it can mean many different things, but what, in an emotional sense, what it means is, where do you abuse yourself with your emotions?
That resonates.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
and so it can bring up, and so working through that base chakra for you, in doing breathing work through the base chakra for you, might help you to release more of those emotions that are trapped there.
Hmm.
And so everybody, based on their birthday, in the work that I do, has a primary energy pattern and a primary chakra that they might work with. And so that's some of the work that I do as well in SOMA Breath, is encouraging people, if they know their which energy center they're working with, is to breathe into that place. And I find that that's when people have much deeper releases. But what happens is that for some people it can get stuck. So it gets stuck usually around here. And we find that as well when people are working on very heavy emotional issues or emotional challenges. Um, they'll get to a point where that feeling of overwhelm often stops us.
Hmm.
And it's that feeling of, I want to cry, but I can't,
Hmm.
which comes usually around here, and usually sometimes around that place as well. That's where you feel the pain. The reason why it gets stuck in the throat is because the throat is the seat of the ego. And it's our ego that doesn't want us to let go of this safety net that we've been holding on to for so long, because, wow, if I let go of that, what's going to be left? This has been helping me and protecting me and keeping me in a safe space for so long, while I've been holding on to these emotions. What's going to be left in that space when I let go of all these things? So often the remedy for that is when those emotions come up, because as it moves around your body, if, for instance, looking at what we did before, if it had moved from the solar plexus to somewhere else, it might then end up in the throat.
Hmm.
And so the encouragement for anybody would be to breathe through the throat when you feel the blockage in the throat,
Hmm.
because that is usually the last kind of holding on place.
Yeah. Okay. Wow.
Yeah. So the other thing that you can do if you are going to do this work is that you could do movement and shaking. And I know that in Soma Breath we do this. We encourage people to do this. It's a lot of fun. But what you're actually doing is you're releasing that heaviness. You're allowing it to move and shake. And then if you were then to sit down and really scan your body, you would probably find some of these blockages, and you could use that breathing technique to really work through those blockages within your body with that acknowledgement, and having a little journal beside you to write down these messages, because these are messages. You weren't listening to, I wanted to be heard, i.e. you weren't listening to me.
Yeah.
Sometimes messages I've heard for myself are, I feel lonely,
Hmm.
you know, I don't feel loved, I don't feel this, I don't feel that. And it's a case of almost wrapping your arms around yourself in a really loving way, so that that feeling or emotion feels safe, feels held, feels acknowledged and validated, and then it can go. And so that shaking helps to really sort of shake things up, I guess, but to really
Yeah.
move things on. And then you can do this work, and again, always with that gratitude of releasing to Mother Earth. I talk a lot about intention. Let's see what's coming up. So, intention and imagination. And I think we talk about a lot about intention in Soma Breath. That's certainly my
Hmm.
experience.
Yeah.
So, how do you relate to intention when you're talking about it?
So, at least in this community, oftentimes, also sometimes I'll suggest an intention and have a guided meditation before a breathwork session
Hmm.
with that intention. Other times I'll encourage participants to create their own intention, and whether it's something, and I see intention as kind of in two boxes, if you will. You want to bring something in or you want to let something go.
Hmm.
And so a lot of times I'll give examples of, I want to release guilt or shame or blame, or I want to cultivate forgiveness or gratitude or self-love. So that's kind of how I see intention.
Yeah, exactly. I see it the same way. And but I love the word when words like this intend when you can break them up into things like intendiness. So I'm going to
Mm,
be really intentional. So I'm going to have the intent to do something, but I'm also going to be in tenderness with it. And I'm going to really have feeling with that idea. And having an intention is really great, but being able to visualize it or use your imagination is also more powerful. And certainly with the teachers I've worked with, even the Peruvian shamans, they will tell you that your imagination is the most powerful thing. It's the most powerful gift we've been given, because animals and other plants, sentient beings, they don't have imagination. We have imagination, and we can create. And so I break down imagination to I, Magi, so learned one, Natio, creates. So I am a learned creator.
oh, I love that.
And so it's your I, Magi, Natio, or it's your magic nation. So it's
Mm.
like this magic place that you can go to. And I really love, whenever I think about imagination, I get so excited because I get to talk about my magic nation.
I love that. I love that. And I agree. I think imagination and visualization is so powerful. And when you said that, it just made me think like how often I know it, like I can speak to this, how often we imagine the things we don't, the things we don't want, like worst case
Yeah.
scenarios and the things that we don't want in our life, rather than imagining best case scenarios and things that we do want in
Yeah.
our
And so
life.
when we think about those things, we think about them from a place of lack. So we think
Mm-hmm.
about, I'm intending that I want this.
Mm-hmm.
And, but when we're doing that, we're actually acknowledging that that doesn't exist already.
Yep.
And so the point being to use our magic nation to be in that place where it does, to have the feeling in our body of what it feels like to have the full expression of what it is that we want, that we're intending.
Yeah. Yeah, that's amazing. Gosh, this information is so powerful, and I mean, this is something that everybody can benefit from. Some people don't realize it yet, but everyone can benefit from. I know for me personally, and in my healing journey, I think like many people, we start with just trying to fix the physical, and then
Hmm.
finally we realize that, oh my gosh, there's an emotional root that
Yeah.
has not been addressed. And I think that if we started to flip that order and started to work on the emotions first, then you can accomplish so much more because there's so much that just
Yeah.
needs to be released.
And
So,
so I've been taught how to do this with symbols and to do with remote healing and all these other techniques and modalities, and they're all of them have their place. But what I'd say to people is, if you could find somebody who can hold space for you,
yeah.
be even if it's just a friend who could sit in front of you while you work through something that may be particularly difficult, or that you've been wanting to work on. If you don't have access to a coach, or if you don't have access to a guide because of where you are or whatever, find a friend, find your best friend, and just say, listen, could you just sit and could you just be present for me while I go through this?
Yeah.
It's really important, and it doesn't have to be complicated.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be magic. It can just be you being with somebody in space.
Yeah, exactly. And I agree, just being there. And I think so many of us feel like we need to like have a solution or have an answer or give advice, and that's not always helpful. And I know, like, I can't tell you how many times, you know, I've been told in my life, you shouldn't feel this way,
Mm,
and used to, I like that would just cause me to feel like guilty or shameful or like there's something wrong. And now when I hear that, it makes me mad because I'm like, no, like, and that's probably not the right emotion either, but just not like people, I think they intend well, but you know, feelings, they're not good or bad, they're not right or wrong, they're information, right?
They're
So there's
just
no should or
energy.
shouldn't
They're-
involved.
yeah,
So
it's just energy moving through your body,
yeah,
telling you that there's something to notice here.
yeah,
And I should and should not need, you need to do this, you should do that, you shouldn't do this. I like, these are like the sticks that we use to
yeah,
beat ourselves all the time.
exactly,
It's a form
exactly.
of flagellation for ourselves.
Yeah, I know. Like that language needs
To change, like
to change. Yeah. Hmm.
I want to feel different is
Yeah.
a hugely positive affirmation to I should feel different.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Like you said, the words we use, the spells we
Yeah, the spells
we
we
create.
create.
Yeah.
So
So
Jen,
that's
would you like one more treat?
well, sure.
Okay, so I have here a base chakra meditation.
Oh,
And given that this is your energy center, I planned on using this anyway, but
mhm.
it seems like it's a good alignment.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So I'm just wondering, do we do it without music? I think it'd be good without music just to make
Okay.
it really clear for people.
Yeah.
What I'm going to invite you to do is to just close your eyes and just relax and be really present in your own body. So let your shoulders relax, let your whole body just completely relax. And just breathe slowly and gently from your heart center. Just inhaling and exhaling. And just allowing your chest, your belly to rise and fall with your natural breath. And bring your awareness into your body so that you can feel your whole self within your body. Every part of your being, from the tips of your toes to the tips of your fingers, to the points of your ears and the hairs on your head. Feel yourself wholly present. Every cell of your skin feels your presence, feels your consciousness and your awareness of you as you. And when you feel completely centered in your body and your heart center, allow yourself to relax a little more deeply. And then using your imagination, your magic nation, envisage that your feet and the chakras in your feet are moving through the floor and anchoring down into the crust of the earth, through all her layers, down into her very heart. And ask that your heartbeat come into union with the heartbeat of Mother Earth. And feel the consciousness of your whole physical body merge with the body of the earth. And feel the body receiving the Mother Earth's love, her tenderness, her gentleness, her healing light. And as this takes place, bring your awareness to your base chakra, right at the base of your tailbone. And imagine in that place that you can see a red ball of energy. Now, this red ball at this point feels like a lead ball, a heavy lead red ball. Accept it. Don't judge it, and don't try to change it. Understand that the masculine energy within you is exhausted. It's had to harden itself against society's judgments and society's lack of love. So it's polarized itself to stay just under the radar, to not show the real self, the true self, for fear of abuse, and many lifetimes of abuse. It's made this male feel that they need to protect themselves, to put armor on themselves. Accept this too. And from the depths of your consciousness, I invite you to call upon the very mother of your soul's creation and to feel her presence, her strength, her love, her infinite eternal love now shrouding itself upon you. And start to feel a deep relaxation in the base of your body, in your hips, in your buttocks, in your bones. And just feel the base of your spinal column start to soften and relax and open. Your soul is her child. And like all mothers, she wishes to be close to her child, to walk every step of your life with you, guarding over you and giving you her love. But the patriarchal system pushed her away, feared her, because the pain of not having her love was so great. They turned their back on her love. Now, if you choose, give her permission to send a rose pink ray right down through the crown of your head, gently spiraling down around your chakras, around your spinal column, and just visualizing a soft pink mist of her love, of her very fiber, of her consciousness, swirling around this dark red lead ball. And just be a witness as this lead ball begins to glow a brighter red. She's breathing life into the masculine, into the harshness, into the fear. Perhaps you can feel a heat in the base of the body. And just witness as she softens this ball and it starts to change colour. And she penetrates with her light. And in alchemy, a metamorphosis begins to take place. This is great life force being awoken within the base. And there is a deep peace. Her light is creating alchemy, a metamorphosis. And there is trust. There is evolution. And feel the base chakra area now become a radiant ball of deep rose pink. Feel it pulsing through this region of your body. Feel it bring peace to the adrenal glands. Feel it bring life force, new and fresh, to the physical body. And if you choose, give the mother of your soul's creation permission to transform your body and bring balance and feminine. And feel that masculine aspect of the base chakra collapse in relief at not having to stand and fight alone. See them come into union and bring harmony and balance to one another, new life to one another. And just feel the radiant light of your base chakra, gentle, eternal, beautiful, filling all the organs around that area in your base chakra. And there is a peace, a trust, and a deep relaxation. And bring your awareness now back up into the heart center. And once again, breathing in and out of your heart center. See that same radiant pink ray merge with the emerald green of your heart. And feel the emerald green and the pink ray reach across the chest and transform any blockages in your physical heart. Because the feminine must always anchor in the physical body in the base before it can reach safely into the heart. Most people have hardened their hearts. There has been a lack of a feminine force in our hearts as well. But she will speak through your heart. She will speak through you. because you now have the ability and the knowing and the feeling of what it feels like to surrender to the feminine. Just keeping your awareness on your body, breathing in and out of your heart center, saying to yourself to be here now. When you're ready, you can open your eyes.
Wow. That was amazing.
That's what we call an active meditation.
That was incredible.
So my suggestion would be that you do that another 2 times this week,
Okay.
because what it'll do is it'll help to clear the energy center in the base of the body. Please don't blame me if you have any physical releases.
And read between the lines there.
Yeah, I've had a couple of friends who said, "Oh my gosh, I woke up in the middle of the night and really had it just like a physical shift, or I needed to go to the bathroom, and that never happened." So I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't know,
Yeah.
maybe something moved.
Exactly. I see it as a good thing. Yeah. Oh
Yeah,
man, that was amazing. Like I just, whew, I really felt that. That was awesome. Yeah, I'm definitely going to do that several more
good.
times. That was incredible. Thank you for sharing that.
It's really good for
Um,
helping to shift the fear, and it's a great reconnection. I actually do it maybe once every quarter when I'm, because we're in such a strange year this year, but
yeah.
I use it to just rebalance that base energy, and I just find I'm just like, oh, I'm more connected to the earth now, more connected to the feminine, because we are shifting out of that masculine energy. This patriarchal system's breaking down, and
Yeah.
this helps to invite that back in, the feminine back in.
I love it. I love it. That was amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that. I know many others are going to love that as well. And before we wrap up, I definitely want to give you a chance to share some of your programs. I know you have a diamond light healing
Yeah.
workshop coming up. So you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. So I'm thinking of doing this on the weekend just before the solstice. So it's the 20th of September. But so I have a diamond light numerology, which is a really great way for people to use they learn the secret number, as we call it, which essentially helps you to understand which energy center is really the challenge for you. So what is your energetic pattern? And we talked a little bit about yours. And so that's a 3-hour workshop. And the normal price for that in US dollars is 200, but I'm offering a 30% discount for people in your community exclusively.
Nice. That's amazing.
And I also have the Diamond Light activations, which is really, I look at it as being the next step, or for just people who want to be more connected. This is an activation a little bit, I think the closest I would describe it as is Reiki, where you get to learn the symbols that you can then use on yourself for self healing. You learn distant healing techniques, but you do actually receive the activations. And that one is so normally I think it works out to be about 465, but again, it's a 30% off for the next time I run that. So if
Okay.
anybody's interested, they just need to email me. So that's my two sort of diamond light ones. So yeah, I really be love to share that work, because I think it's really powerful for really tapping people into the emotions. But the biggest change, I think, Jen, is that it asks people to be responsible for themselves.
Mhm.
So respond to their abilities, not, oh, I've got to be responsible.
Right. Yes, exactly. And I think that's super powerful to, I mean, again, it's taking our power back, right?
Yeah.
And so that's amazing. So I encourage everyone to check out those programs and to definitely take part in that workshop,
Yeah.
because
So
again,
they
you're going to
can,
be equipped with tools.
yeah. So they can find the information on my website, timsnell.co/transform.
Okay.
And if they're interested in attending the next workshop, they just need to email me at my email address, tim@timsnell.co, with the reference Gen B.
Okay.
Um, and then I can just issue a discount easily that way. It's probably the easiest way to
Perfect.
do it.
Perfect. I'll make sure to include all that information in in the content in the comments of this video, and all of your contact information, your social media, all of that good stuff, so people can connect with you and get started with your workshops and your programs and learn more
Yeah,
from
and feel
you.
And feel free to, use that breathing technique with people in SOMA Breath. Like if they have something that's come up for them, encourage them to find that emotion and connect into it. And through that breath work, like really help it to move with gratitude. And then in the breath retentions, they can just notice, be in the noticing.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, that's such a perfect thing to combine with breath work for sure. So thank you again for being with us today, for
Thank
sharing all
you.
of this wonderful information. I mean, I learned a ton, and the experience was incredible. So so I know everyone else is going to love it too. So I really appreciate you taking your time to be with us.
You're welcome. Thank you for inviting me.